Ghosts may not be the only way one can rise from the dead. Spirits may take possession of a living body. Some say that's what happened to a 12-year-old Watseka girl over 100 years ago. Her story is rumored to be the inspiration for The Exorcist. Now let's remember the events of the summer of 1877 and the girl they called the Watseka Wonder. Buried in this cemetery on the outskirts of Watseka, Illinois, lies the answer to a mystery that has marveled people for more than a century. For in this cemetery lies the body of Mary Roff, a young girl who died before her time, and for those who choose to believe, returned from the beyond. It was in 1878 that the quiet town of Watseka was shaken by the news that young Lurancy Vennum was possessed by the spirit of Mary Roff. Today, only few people know the story. For nearly a century, it was kept a secret, until finally, generations later, children began finding a book entitled The Watseka Wonder in dusty attics and old bookstores. It was written in 1908 and revealed the truth behind the mystery and rumors. The Vennum family did their best to hide it, but as time went on, the secret seeped out. Marie Hanford is one of the few who have learned the story. She first heard about it at the Historical Society 21 years ago, after a lifetime of living amongst the artifacts left behind from the mystery in Watseka.
Most of us grew up maybe living quite close to where this happened, never ever hearing about it. In fact, I lived just around the corner from one of the houses, and my parents never mentioned it, and I can't remember anyone ever talking about it.
What no one would talk about in 1878 was the death and resurrection of Mary Roff. Many in Watseka at the time believed Mary to be insane. Her whole life she suffered from violent fits and seizures. At 15, the fits became so violent that her parents feared she was losing her mind. Soon she developed an odd fascination with blood and had taken to cutting herself, saying she had to bleed the evil out of her. As her fits grew worse, the Roffs were advised to put their daughter into an insane asylum, but they refused. On July 5, 1865, after taking on a fit in her sleep, Mary, at only 18 years old, died, unexpectedly and alone. But as Mary's life was ending, a baby by the name of Lurancy Vennum was born. Lurancy was always a healthy child, but at 12 she began suffering from fits similar to Mary's, and that's when she says the spirits started to visit. She first heard them calling to her, crying out, "Rancy, Rancy," and felt their warm breath on the back of her neck.
Well, she would take on these different terrible people, and so one of these people said then they would send someone else, and so then evidently Mary was the one who came.
The Roffs became convinced that inside the body of this 12-year-old girl was their daughter's spirit. The Roffs took in the girl everyone knew as Lurancy. In a letter Mr. Roff wrote to a doctor in February 1879, he tells of his daughter's return.
Mary is perfectly happy. She recognizes everybody and everything that she knew when in her body 12 or more years ago. She knows nobody or anything whatever that is known by Lurancy. She's been nothing but Mary since she's been here. She's perfectly happy. You don't know how much comfort we take with the dear angel.
Mary's stay was filled with specific memories of her previous life. In fact, when the Roffs took Lurancy home to live with them, they rode past their old house, the house where Mary grew up. But Mary, being unaware of her family's move, turned to her father as they passed, inquiring why they weren't going home. Day by day, the Roffs grew more convinced that Mary had come back to them as she remembered more details of her life.
She knew all their names. She knew things that they had done. She knew their family's routine. She asked even about a dress that they had, evidently it had been her favorite, and they had kept it.
For 3 months, Mary stayed with the Roffs, but all the while telling them she would soon have to leave. She said Lurancy's body was sick, and she was there to help it heal. The angels, she said, were calling her back. Mary's sister had no doubts in her return, but was saddened to hear her speak of leaving.
A few days ago, Mary was caressing her father and mother, and they became a little tired of it, and when they asked her why, she hugged them and kissed them. She sorrowfully looked at them and said, "Oh, Pa and Ma, I want to kiss you while I have lips to kiss you with, and hug you while I have arms to hug you with, for I am going back to heaven before long, and then I can only be with you in spirit, and you will not always know when I come, and I cannot love you as I can now. Oh, how much I love you all."
Finally, on May 21st, 1878, 3 months and 20 days after Mary claimed Lurancy's body, Mary prepared to leave this world yet again.
She just went around to her family, and my understanding is she said her last goodbyes, gave them hugs and that, because their family displayed their love for each other. And then the next day she was back to Lurancy.
When Lurancy returned, she immediately asked to go back with her family, the Vennum family. She remembered little from the events with the Roffs, and she was never visited by spirits or suffered from fits for the rest of her life. Mary did as she said she would, cure Lurancy's body. But some believe Mary came back for another reason.
Her death was so quick, and as I said, they were a close family. And for her not to have told them that she loved them and given them that last hug seemed to be the reason that she wanted to come back. Her unfinished business.
Lurancy Vennum went on to have a full life, married and moved to California, where she raised 11 children. But she never again spoke of what happened in Watseka, not even to her own children. When Lurancy died in 1928, many believed the story would die with her. But even with the Vennums' attempts to keep their daughter's story a secret, the mystery lived on. The Roff and the Vennum families will forever be joined in this way, just as Mary and Lurancy were a century ago. Whether or not everyone chooses to believe the story from Watseka, all will still wonder about the possibility.
I've always said I don't believe in that sort of thing, but I don't know. I've read it and I've thought about it, and I just think it could have happened. I think there might be things bigger than all of us.